Okay, guys, so welcome back to Man of the Crown channel. I'm gonna have to ask you to please like and subscribe to the channel. If you will, I'd greatly appreciate it. As you can see, I'm not in front of the computer today. I'm actually on one of my work locations where I am prepping out a residential apartment for painting. I haven't been on a channel for a while. I've been trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do with the channel. I know I really wanted to go to some of my old neighborhoods and stuff like that where I grew up and tell you guys a few stories. I was hoping to accomplish something like that at some point this year, meaning 2024. I had those kind of plans, but there's actually so much going on in New York City. I kind of really just don't really want to go there. You know, for obvious reasons. There's just a lot of calamity going on. So I'm gonna have to actually excuse me because I'm gonna be in and out of the frame. So just talking to you guys as I'm actually prepping out this unit. I'm just gonna go on and just keep talking to you guys. I could have just waited until I got nice and cozy back in front of my computer and my desk, but some of you may know or you may not know, but I think sometime after 10:30 a.m. this morning, there was a 4.8 earthquake here in New Jersey. And I'm gonna say the parts of New Jersey where the earthquake actually happened, I'm gonna say it was probably about 21 miles away from where I am. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the house shook to and fro like a maniac. So for us to be that far away from the epicenter of the earthquake and to feel the intensity of that earthquake the way that I felt it, along with my son, because he's home for his spring break. So he's almost 12 years old. He's 11 and a half right now. And we weren't afraid, but very much surprised, very much taken by surprise. And that feeling, it's hard to explain that feeling. I mean, because, you know, here on this part of the East Coast, we're not used to having any earthquakes. So I can't remember ever being in an earthquake in my entire life. I'm now 49 years old, and I grew up here in the East Coast all my life. For the half part of my life in New York City. Then until I came here to New Jersey in my later teen years, and I've been here pretty much ever since. And I've never experienced an earthquake of any magnitude, which is incredible. The reason why I bring this up is because the feeling of urgency that I have right now to actually get back to this channel, because I've been praying a whole lot what should I be doing? And the past few days, I had so much trouble with my cell phone. Um, it was actually damaged really bad. I had just got finished filming a whole bunch of video for my other channel, J Built Customs, where I build custom motorcycles. And I was doing that in one of my businesses that ultimately I had to close, Cycle Addictions. But I'm still continuing to endeavor in that motorcycle industry. So I have some focus there still yet. So it's something that I was hoping to regenerate maybe at some point, God willing, of course. But like I was saying, I had filmed a bunch of footage and I was really upset because my phone was damaged and out of the blue, it just kept freaking cutting off. You know, it would cut off and it would cut back on, so I couldn't download the footage that I had recorded. And I was so upset because I'm like, man, you know, I just can't catch a break. You know, I've been on YouTube for a little while now, and I haven't been able to be consistent with that channel, which was previously Cycle Addiction, because I was running a business. I had a large crew, a lot of square footage, a lot of overhead, a lot of responsibility, a lot of happenings going on. It's very difficult to actually run that business and also try to do a YouTube channel full time or even half time. It was just nearly impossible to make it happen. So I wasn't very active on that channel. I wanted to be, but it was just impossible to do it, you know, given my circumstances with the businesses. So even though I'm busy right now, doing what I'm doing now, unfortunately, I just had too much going on, trying to run multiple businesses at one time and trying to pick up a YouTube channel. It was just impossible. But you know, I've been doing a lot of praying lately, and like I said, I filmed this footage. I wanted to put it on YouTube, and I kind of got bummed out because this phone was just destroyed. So I went over to Optimum, and you know, they tried to talk us into actually purchasing a new phone, which wouldn't have been too bad. I mean, it was going to be an expense no matter what, but we almost signed on to a new phone, but I had to pay like $500 to kind of close out my existing contract to pay off the phone that I'm using currently. So as I'm at the counter trying to figure that stuff out, something just came over me. Well, it's like I still lose the footage, you know, simply if I buy a phone and I can't upload to my iCloud or whatever, I still lose the footage because I still need this phone repaired in order to even save some of my progress. So I decided to try to find a place, a local place that could actually repair the phone, which I did find, which is great because not only did they repair the phone, they rebuilt the phone. So it's pretty cool. They rebuilt the phone and it ended up costing me pretty much the same as what it was going to cost me to get the new phone and close my contract. But oddly enough, there ended up being a charge from Optimum on my credit card for the amount of the phone, which I did not purchase. So they went on ahead and withdrew the funds for the amount of the contract, which I decided to keep my contract and not get a new phone. But either way, I got that resolved. I didn't fuss too much about it, even though I didn't like the idea, because that's like $1,000. That's like throwing $500 away for nothing. And I didn't have a new phone, so I got my own phone repaired, which, by the way, I cracked today. I'm always breaking my phones because I'm always working with my phones, and I don't know why, but I seem to keep ignoring the fact that I need a case cover to protect these phones, especially if I'm going to be working with them. So I cracked my phone again. So today I'm going to go and buy a case and show the guy that I screwed up my phone. And maybe in a few weeks or whatever, maybe I'll go ahead and maybe I will have it repaired again. But for right now, the phone is fine. It's actually working. So I got the other issue resolved with Optimum. They ended up returning the funds that they took from me. And all this happened after this mighty earthquake that hit. And I said before that I've been praying a lot on what to do with my YouTube channels, because as I was having a situation with my phone, I actually mentioned to my wife, I said, you know, it's either God preventing me from moving forward with this YouTube video and stuff. And she's like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, well, I was just getting this feeling that it's not important. Like, almost as if, man, I don't want to say that, because it says that all things through Christ are possible. So, you know, if the Lord tells you that you could tell a mountain to move from here to there, that it will happen with only, if only you had a faith of a grain of a mustard seed. So I truly believe in that, and I've seen some of those things in my own life, and I'm not talking about any manifestation type stuff. I'm just talking some real faith and real belief in how God has showed up and done things and answered my prayers and provided for me in ways that were impossible in the natural. The Lord showed up and did some amazing things for me that I can simply not deny. So, I was thinking, I'm having this trouble with this phone, and I'm like, man, it's either God or the devil. Either the devil doesn't want me to do this good thing and show this good work. He doesn't want progress with my YouTube channel. Or God just doesn't want me to focus on that right now, because it doesn't matter, because there's something more important. And I feel like I got my answer when this earthquake hit, because it didn't give me fear. It made me think about the Lord right away, like instantly. My son even agreed, and he said, Dad, yeah, I feel God. And I'm like, yeah. You know, for my son, he says, yup, I feel God. Like, he was saying that we're so small, you know, we felt, man, just so vulnerable. Like, we were both the same. We were both children. In that instant, the house is shaking, and obviously I'm an adult, so I'm already thinking about how to keep this kid safe, and at the same time realizing that we're both childlike in that very moment. And the amazing thing is, there would have really been nothing that I could have done to save us, to save myself or to save my son. There would have been nothing, absolutely nothing that I could have done in my human ability, my natural ability. And I feel like in that moment, I feel like I got my answer. as to why these events took place over the past few days with the phone situation and the YouTube footage. I mean, ultimately, last night I did end up loading another video, which actually took through the night to actually process, which is another weird thing. It actually took through the night to process. It didn't process till this morning before the earthquake, but it did process, and the earthquake hit. And I feel as though I got my answer. And what I'm going to say to you guys is, right now, there is nothing, absolutely nothing more important right now than for you to look to God, to get on your knees, and to speak to the Lord and ask the Lord to show up for you, to speak to you, to hear you, and for you to hear the Lord. Your salvation right now is the only thing that matters. I don't know what your situations might be. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter, because that's what I got right now. I feel like it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm here now, and I can be gone in an instant. And just as that earthquake took place, is the same way the Lord could return. It's the same way that the rapture could take place. It could happen in an instant, in a time that you do not know. Just like the earthquake appeared today in a place where it should have not appeared. We're not prone to earthquakes in this region of the country. So for something like that, to that magnitude, 4.8, kind of makes you wake up. And if you go to the Luke in the Bible, I think it's Luke chapter 21:11, if I'm not mistaken, where it says there will be earthquakes in various places, pestilence, famines, and signs in the heavens. And another word, I don't have that verse in front of me. I don't have my Bible in front of me, but the first thing I thought about was God. It's the first thing. Before I even thought about my own safety, I'm looking at my son, and we're thinking about God right away. We're thinking about God. And it's like, it's almost as this, when you make a promise to someone, I'm going to show up, or someone makes a promise to you and they're like, okay, I'll be there at 3:00 on Tuesday. And you're like, okay. But at the same time, you're like, he's probably not coming. Then, boom, you show up, and you're unprepared. Like, you're not dressed to go. It's like, he's like, well, I told you I was coming and we were going. Why aren't you dressed? So it's kind of like that. So the feeling of urgency that I have, and I know I'm just rambling on here about my phone and all this other stuff, but it's just part of the events that just took place in the past few days leading up to this earthquake, and how all this ties in, and what I feel that I should be doing right now, or that you should be doing. It says in the Word of God that, and I'll find this later on, but it does say that God actually hates a coward, right? It does actually say in the Word of God that if you are ashamed of Him, He will be ashamed of you. So I want you guys to kind of think about that. Let that marinate. Because if God called you to speak to lost individuals, whether it be in your family or a friend or maybe just an acquaintance, or someone that frequently uh, comes in or out of your life or around your life, and you keep getting this urge to speak to these individuals or these persons about God, then I'm going to tell you right now, you better speak up. The time is now for you to speak up, because I feel like we are out of time. We are out of time. Um, just in my spirit, what I feel, we are out of time. The Lord has made a promise, and it's been written in red. And he's been keeping his promises, each time. And when it says in the Word of God that there'll be earthquakes in various places, famines, pestilence, and all kinds of things going on, like right now we have Iran wanting to attack Israel. We got all this stuff going on. These wars, rumors of wars, people going hungry, diseases. We have all this stuff right now. We have it all going on right now. Now we have these earthquakes in, I'm going to say, unfamiliar places. Earthquakes. I mean, an earthquake could happen anywhere, but earthquakes shouldn't be happening here. So, it's something to think about. Gives you something to think about, guys. Like, time is short. I believe we're very close to the end, as we know it. When I say the end, I say the end of the world, not necessarily the earth. I don't believe the earth will be destroyed. I believe it will be made new, but this world has to end. It can no longer continue the way that it's continuing. I have this saying that I've been saying for a few years now, and I'll say it time and time again, and I'll keep on saying it, is that a world that is unfit for a child is a world that is unfit for life, right? Now, we all know what's going on in the schools, what they're teaching the children. They're over-sexualizing the children and all these other things. All this deviance going on. All this sexual deviance going on. The immoralities that are going on. The adulteries that are going on. The fornications that are going on. It's just, the world is just really disgusting right now. I don't want to mention too many people, but if you look at all these celebrities that were somewhat worshipped and idolized for all these many years, they're all in calamity right now. Their lives are in calamity. There's so much being exposed. There's so much trouble going on right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you have ears to hear and eyes to see, then this kind of looks familiar. You kind of know why this is happening. The same way this earthquake happened today, and I knew in my spirit that this was the Lord just shaking things up. And it sparked something in me to have this much urgency to tell you guys to please, if you have not found Christ, if you have not accepted Yeshua, Jesus, in your heart, I just ask you to at least maybe, if you haven't ever prayed before, if you haven't prayed in a while, I'm begging you to pray to this day. Don't be caught off guard. Don't be caught off guard. Pray today. Ask the Lord to speak to you. I'm going to try to, when I get back into my comfortable place, where I'm in front of my desk, I'm going to try to have some scriptures available for you guys, because otherwise it's just me blabbering off my mouth. Other than me, I felt like this was something necessary because I'm just going to come and just try to read some scripture and try to explain to you guys what I feel in my spirit, what I think it means. I'll let the Lord lead my heart, and I'm just going to go on and try to read some scriptures and just say some things, and hopefully some of you guys, or maybe one of you guys out there, might be able to identify with me and resonate with me, and maybe you'll listen, because I have 100% confidence in the Lord. I don't have that much confidence in my own abilities to get you to believe, but I do believe in the power of God. I do believe that sometimes He uses certain people, certain voices from certain places to identify with certain individuals. Um, and I truly do believe that. And maybe I can be used in some way that might get your attention and get you to turn to the Lord. I did want to tell one other dream that I did have, but recently, it's weird. I had actually a couple of dreams just recently, just weeks ago. One of those dreams was um, I saw 4 moons in the sky and a cube. It's cubed. It was in the sky, and as I looked up in the sky, I was in some kind of a development or some kind of apartment. I don't know what I was doing there, but it wasn't mine. It wasn't ours. It wasn't my place. It was someone else's place, but we were there, and my son was there, and I remember there being quite a few people there, and looked up in the sky. I saw this cube just kind of spinning around in the sky, and 4 moons. I looked at my son and I said, "Son, we have to go high. We have to go up to avoid the disaster that's coming." So I grabbed my son. You know how you grab your kid, he's almost 12, so he's not a big guy yet. So I grabbed the bottom of his ankles to kind of hoist him up. And he held on to there was like a hole inside the ceiling. So as I jumped and grabbed onto a piece of the ceiling, my son's there, he's waiting. I start punching, boom, 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 punching through the roof. And I ended up busting through the roof and got up. And as this happened, a big flood just came and just wiped out everything. And I remember while this was happening, I was on the phone also trying to get my wife to leave her office. And she was adamant about not being able to leave, like being a good worker or whatever. You know, she wouldn't leave. So someone was saying that she should leave at 2 o'clock. And I said, no, there's no time. There won't be time. Everything will be gone by 2 o'clock. So she's like, no, I'm not leaving till 2. So I had to hang up the phone and let her go. And that's when we climbed up, went through the roof, and a disaster came and wiped out everything. Then there was another dream weeks after that where I had a dream of 4 moons and 2 suns in the sky. And I ran into a house of an old employee I used to work for back in the day, maybe 20 years ago. I worked for a construction crew. And there was a household that was on a property that belonged to my boss's father. And he lived in this old house there, connected to the yard of all the construction, the bulldozers and stuff like that. So there was like a house attached to it. And I was at that house, and my foreman was actually sitting in the back of a black Monte Carlo that was driven by one of my past employees. cycle addictions, and he was taking him for a wild joyride, almost like the video game, like Crazy Taxi. And it's amazing because my old foreman, he ended up getting addicted to pain medications, and ultimately he suffered a heart attack. And he was a great leader. He was such a tough guy, Russian gentleman. I really respected him. Hated his guts and respected him at the same time. And just like everybody else, he was tough. He was very tough on us, but we respected him. And he got us through a lot. And ultimately, some of the skills that I have now, some of the things that I've learned now are just a continuance of what was built inside of me by having that experience with my old foreman. It kind of helped me get through a lot of the tough times that I had to get through running my own businesses. So rest in peace to Terry. I can only hope that, the Lord has a plan for his soul. I don't know what his belief was or if he had salvation with God. I just don't know. And that's why this is so important, what I'm telling you guys. But anyway, back to that dream. He had, they had pulled off on this wild, crazy ride. And I'm looking in the sky, and I remember in my spirit, I'm like, all right, forget them. I'm not going to be able to stop that. That wild ride has already taken place. So I knew that these gentlemen were they were beyond me saving or stopping, taking this wild ride. But I remember running into that house, and it's amazing. My son was up there, and there was a whole bunch of wires and junk and stuff. The house was empty, and he's like, Dad, I'm looking for a phone so I can call Mommy. And he's just rummaging through all the wires and the clothes and stuff like that on the floor. And I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm seeing these 4 moons and these 2 suns. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm like, look, do you see it? He's like, yeah, Dad, I see it. So we got to hurry up and call Mommy and tell her to meet us. And oddly enough, there's these 3 gentlemen ended up walking to the house. And I remember these guys, they sound like they had, like those New York, the Italian accents, like from a couple of guys. I grew up in Staten Island, so a couple of the Italian guys from Staten Island, they were just yapping away about their money and business and, who needs a job and all this other stuff they were talking. And I looked at one of the guys and I said, hey, man, I said, please, can I use your phone? And the guy's like, no problem. What do you need? I said, look, I just need you to call my wife's office. I said, we just need her here. I said, because something's about to happen. The guy just starts yapping off, oh yeah, where's your wife working? Guy's like, I'm a boss, and I got positions here, and I can give a job. And I'm like, look, man, I said, please, I just need you to call. Could you please just call? So I put the number in. The guy's just yapping away about, how great he's doing and all this other stuff. And he's chatting with the other guys, and they're all agreeing. They're all talking the same crap. They're just completely oblivious to what's going on. And I said, look, man. I said, look in the sky. Look in the sky. What do you see? The guy's like, hey, calm down. Right? So look in the sky, and I'm like, look. I said, there's 4 moons and 2 sons all at the same time. I said, does that look normal to you? And he's like, no, what the hell is going on? I said, what do you think is going on? It's the apocalypse. The guy started freaking out. And the phone just wouldn't, I guess the cell phones were out, so I couldn't get service. Didn't get to speak to my wife. So my son finds a wire cord on the floor in the midst of like a whole bunch of clothes and stuff and junk on the floor. And it was a landline, so we were able to plug that landline in, and we were able to call my wife in her office. And once again, she would not leave her office. She just would not leave. And it's weird, but it's starting to remind me of Lot's wife when he said to tell her not to look back, to let the world to not look back, and she was turned into a pillar of stone. Not that my wife doesn't believe, but she does. But I just don't know why that happened twice in those dreams. But I've had better dreams. But that was just 2 of them. But the one that I did want to tell you about happened months ago. A few months ago. That dream, I woke up. It's like I woke up and I was in like a gym, like a fitness gym. But the thing about this fitness gym was that everyone had like blood on their head. And it was like a little like blood on their heads. And I had blood on my head. And I remember the gym lady, or the person that works at the gym, walked up to me and said, she said, "Hey, you can't be here." And I said, "Why not?" She said, "Because your blood," she said, "the blood on your head isn't allowed here." I said, "Yeah." I said, "But everybody has blood on their head." I said, "Why?" I tried to argue with this lady. I was like, why is my blood? Why can't I be here? So she's like, "No, we're going to have to ask you to leave because you have the wrong blood on your head." And she's making like this big commotion, and everybody's looking. They're all pumping and lifting, and everybody's got their phones. They're taking selfies, and they're doing all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'll leave then. So I end up walking through this exit, but I ended up walking into there was like a big, almost like a big, it was like a big locker room, but it was like a big open locker room. And it was the floor, like it was filthy, because I was going to actually wash the blood off my head because it wasn't like everyone else's. So I'm walking through this locker room and I'm barefoot, and there's feces on the ground, urine on the ground. There's a couple guys sitting. It almost looked like a bathhouse. There was some guys sitting on a bench. Lord knows what they were doing. I didn't pay too much attention, but it didn't look right. So I tried to hurry up and move out of sight from whatever was going on there. There was like a group of guys doing stuff. You know what? I walked through, I made a left, walked down, and there was like these 2 shower heads by this big open window, but the window didn't have any glass in it. It was just a big open window. The sun was coming in. It was like these 2 shower heads. And some little kid came walking up. This kid had to be maybe 10 years old. And he started to turn the knob, and all this nasty, polluted, bitter, nasty smelling brown water started pouring out. And this kid just starts like washing his hair, going down his neck and everything. And it's like it was normal. And I'm like, no. I said, kid, what are you doing? He's like, no, this is good for me. And I'm like, boom. So then my wife appears with my son right there. And I turn the thing on for my shower, and it comes out, but the water is clean. But my wife says, she says, babe, I wouldn't even do that. And my son was like, yeah, come on, Dad, don't even wash it. Don't even wash it off your hair. He said, I don't think this water is good enough for you to wash your head with. And I said, yeah. I said, you know what, son? I turned it off. And I heard a train. The train just sounded, wah, 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 wah. And my wife said, hurry up, let's go. Let's go catch the train. That's our train. So I looked at that little kid and I said, what about this kid? And my wife, I think either my wife or my son says, no, that's this train. Like he's not allowed on this train. This train is for us. But that kid, he has to stay here. So I felt bad about it, but I turned and we went on this train. When we got loaded up on this train, there was like cars on the train. The train was like open. It was open, but it was like a railing. So you could actually just hang over in the train, and as you're going, you could actually see. So the crazy thing about this train was that it was leaving from high up. Like we was in this building, it was like 5 stories. And just as the train, it blew the horn, boom, boom, then it just went off. It went down, whoa, and there's loads of people on the train. Everybody's looking over the side, and when everybody's like, yeah, they start like, yeah, we're leaving, we're leaving, we're leaving. Everybody's screaming, like, we're leaving, we're leaving. Everybody's excited. And it's like where the train went for one last roundabout through this city. So as the train was passing through this city, like leaving out, we weren't coming back. Like the train was, we were leaving through the city. We were witnessing what we were about to leave behind. And the train just kept going. And as it was going through the city, all we could see was people in the streets bashing each other with sticks, hammers. People were just beating each other in the street. I remember seeing a man, there was a lady on the ground, and he was just twisting her leg, twisting. And he was laughing as this lady was screaming. He was just twisting her leg like he was trying to rip her leg off. There were wild dogs, or I'm not going to say wild dogs. There was dogs everywhere. It's almost like if everyone abandoned their dogs and the dogs were in the street. Like these dogs had missing legs. They had torn off flesh. Some of these dogs looked like they were half eaten. Like they were just dogs just walking around everywhere. I remember that because I remember seeing that. How sad it was to see that. I felt so much empathy in my heart for seeing those dogs. Like the dogs were just wandering and they were just so lost. And they were all in so much pain. But as the train is just passing through, it's passing under bridges and everything, and we're just seeing so much violence and stuff like that, and so much suffering, like dead bodies all over the place. Then the train went for one last swoosh. Like there was a straightaway. Then a train, as it passed through the last little scene, the train just sped up. It got so fast and just whoa, and just gone. Train just like shot up, just gone. We left. I woke up. That was it for that dream. So I think that dream, it almost felt like a confirmation to my previous dreams, my previous rapture dreams. I almost feel like that dream was like telling me, and this was months ago. I don't know why I decided not to tell it, but I'm telling it now because of this earthquake today. There's just something in my spirit that just telling me that it's time to speak up. It's time for everyone to speak up. If you're a believer, do not be ashamed. Do not be afraid. Do not be so overwhelmed with fear to tell these special people in your life to at least get them to think about it. Because it doesn't really matter if they reject you. It doesn't matter if they laugh. It doesn't even matter if they get agitated. Trust in the Holy Spirit. Trust in God's ability to speak to that person, even if they reject you in that moment. Just that energy, that spirit, just that voice, that opportunity that you took to tell someone to think about Jesus, they're going to remember that. They're going to think about that. They're going to think about it at some point today. Even if they reject you, they're going to think about it some point throughout the day. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe something will happen and they'll think about that day. Because this is how the Lord works. He doesn't work like us. You know, he doesn't think like us. He doesn't have that the way that we reason, the way that we see things, the way that we understand things. It's unlike God. So you just don't know, just by you mentioning the Lord today to someone you know, someone that you frequent, they're gonna think about it. God, if this rapture were to happen, just like today, how out of nowhere, after 10:30 something this morning, the earth started shaking. When I tell you the house was shaking, it was shaking. And the same way that just happened so spontaneously is the same way that the Lord could come into this, to crack the clouds and come through the sky, or the same that we could be pulled out like this in an instant. All right. So I'll get with you guys later. I'm sorry if I rambled on for so long, but please like and subscribe to this channel. If you like, I'm going to try to get back on here with some Bible scripture and try to give you guys some of the stuff that actually stands out to me. And I'll see you guys soon. All right. Peace out.